All right, so our final speaker, I think many of you know him already. Michael Johnson is the CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Dane County. Since taking over as the CEO, he has increased the company's, the nonprofit's operating budget by over 300%. He's been all over the place, has pulled in millions and millions and millions of dollars donated directly to the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County. And as you know, the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County is now becoming the Boys and Girls Clubs of Dane County because, thanks in part to Michael's leadership, they are building a second location for kids in the Sun Prairie area. So Michael has done a fantastic job, and tonight he is going to share with you leadership principles that he has learned and implemented that you can implement in your life. So let's give it up for our final speaker tonight, Michael Johnson.
I was worried after the first three speakers went that everybody would leave. Let me just first say thank you all so much for coming out and supporting this event. Lou, thank you for your leadership. I remember when he approached me a few months ago, I was like, sure, try it, let's go for it. And look at what happened tonight. So Luke, thank you so much for your leadership. Tonight, I want to say thank you as well for supporting our kids in this community. And I wanted to talk about the 10 principles of nonprofit leadership and kind of talk a little bit about Boys and Girls Clubs. So let me first talk about the landscape of the nonprofit industry in the United States. There are more than 1.5 million nonprofits across the United States that need board members and volunteers to help us do this critical work. If our nonprofit sector was a country, we'll be the 16th largest economy in the United States with more than $1.7 trillion in revenue that's coming through those 1.5 million nonprofits. Just like in Wisconsin, across the United States, 1 in 10 jobs come from nonprofit organizations like the Boys and Girls Clubs and the YMCAs and the food banks all throughout the United States. Then if you look at our industry in total, the nonprofit workforce is the third largest U.S. industry behind retail, trade, and manufacturing. Let's talk about nonprofits in Wisconsin. We are a very giving community that care about the work of nonprofits in this community. There are more than 30,000 nonprofits in Wisconsin that employ 12% of the state's workforce. Our sector right here in this state generated $49 billion last year alone and hold assets of more than $90 billion on their collective balance sheets. This community and our state is very generous. Last year, $2.7 billion were given to those 30,000 plus charities last year. Let's talk about some of the challenges that we see in the state of Wisconsin. Go one more. We have one of the highest, you gotta keep going, I'm sorry about that. We have one of the highest academic, now you gotta go back. The state of Wisconsin has one of the highest academic achievement gaps in the United States, and it's something that we have to work on not only as a community, but it's an issue across the state of Wisconsin. One in 6 kids live in poverty. The average age of a homeless person in Madison is 8 years of age. And it's unacceptable for a city that's so great in so many ways. 1 out of 9 kids skip meals at least once a month because simply their families can't afford it. The crisis continue. You probably read in the newspaper last week that only 36% of MMSD students can read at proficiency. It's unacceptable for a community like this. Then if you go to the next slide, 3 out of 5 Caucasian kids can't read at proficiency. 1 in 4 American Indian, 1 in 5 Hispanic, and 1 in 10 African American kids can't read at proficiency. And this has to be a huge priority for our city and for our state. If you look at low-income young people, summer months are very, very critical. Kids lose about 2 to 3 months of academic achievement compared to middle-class kids, and so kids who come from low-income communities, we got to really watch what they're doing during the summer. More than 40% of school-age children are home without adult supervision, and that's why after-school programs are critical for young people. Most young people get in trouble between the hours of 3 to 6 p.m., and that's why after-school programs are so critical. Only 14% of low-income kids would graduate from college within 8 years. It took me 8.5 years to graduate from college because I couldn't read, I couldn't write growing up in the projects in Chicago. It took me 2.5 years to finish, to take preparatory courses before I got my associate's degree. And we see kids have these challenges all the time. So we created a plan, a strategic plan back in 2012. Boys and Girls Club had never had a business plan. We put one together, and we pretty much said we would do 3 things. One, that we would help close the opportunity gap in Madison, and that we would create the largest public-private partnership with 90% of our kids graduating from high school. 2, we said that we would quadruple the number of young people, both urban and rural kids, making sure that we had more services and having an impact on those young people's lives, not only in Madison, but throughout southern Wisconsin. 3, we said we would grow our human capacity, diversify our revenue, and impact young people. That was our goal back in 2012. The challenge is we had cash flow issues. We only had 18 employees. Our buildings was dark and gloomy and dirty, and we wanted to change that. So let me talk about what we've accomplished over the years. 1, we went from serving 1,800 young people in 2010 to, a lot of people don't know, we serve 7,500 young people throughout Dane County and Walworth County right now today. We grew our workforce from 18 employees in 2010. Actually, this is an older slide. We now have over 175 employees that work for Boys and Girls Clubs now. We have 12,000 donors that support our work every year. Grew from 2,200 now to 12,000. So when you talk about diversification, we wanted more people investing like you, investing to support young people in our community. We have more than 50 paid tutors. We knew that we could not transform kids' lives in just in after-school programs, so we have paid tutors that work in the schools during the day with teachers and principals. So both in the Madison and the Verona School District, we have tutors working in the classrooms with teachers, and we're one of the only nonprofits that do that. We believe, we know in America, only about 27% of working age adults have college degrees. So a lot of time we focus on college attainment, but what about those kids who won't go to college? And so making sure that we get them paid internships. One day as we begin, we're planning our strategic plan now, I want to see us teaching kids how to become plumbers and carpenters and electricians, and making sure that we're preparing them for life at the Boys and Girls Club. Next. A lot of people don't know this. We provide 165,000 healthy meals and snacks to young people. We want to make sure that our babies don't go home hungry at night. We have a community fitness center in both our Ally and our Taft Street Club. Actually, it was the first fitness facilities in both of those communities where we spent over $150,000 putting equipment in our facilities to give access to not only our kids, but their parents to utilize that space. We're the only Boys and Girls Club in the United States with a partnership with a public school that runs the AVID program. And we were named one of the top 5 clubs in the nation. The only guy I can't seem to get in front of is the president of the Boys and Girls Club in Boston, and his father owns the New England Patriots. We provide transportation to more than 200 kids weekly, from homes to schools to shelters, making sure that accessibility is not an issue for a lot of our kids. Let's go to the next one. Did it freeze on you? We acquired a nonprofit in Delavan, and we're now serving young people in rural communities. We built a dental clinic inside of our Boys and Girls Club to make sure that young people have access to comprehensive oral health care. It's one of the primary reasons why kids miss school in America, and it's one of the primary reasons why kids miss school here in Dane County. So we have a full-time dentist. We partner with More Smiles Wisconsin to make sure that we're providing that support. We're one of the few community centers that has a licensed child care facility, and we built the largest public-private partnership in both the Verona and the Madison School District. We received a 4-star Charity Navigator rating. This is a nonprofit watchdog that watches the expenses of nonprofits. Only about 20% of the 1.5 million charities in the United States get 4 stars, and we have consistently every year, because of strong financial controls, have done that. Let's keep going. I would say just go through them, and sorry about that, you all. Let me just talk about our membership has grown over the years, and this is impact. So the investment that people like you make into our clubs, our membership has grown from about 1,800 young people up to 7,500 young people over about a 10-year period. So we've grown about 760 kids per year. Our budget has also grown by 323%. When I started in 2010, we were about a $1.1 million organization. Our board just approved our budget this year, and we're about a $6.1 million organization now. You're going to see in the newspaper next week, and don't take my word for it, Google it. There's an evaluation that's done by the University of Wisconsin that shows that our kids' GPAs are higher, their attendance is better, they're taking more rigorous courses, and 77% of the kids that's in our college preparatory programs are poor white kids and low-income kids of color. And all 326 of our kids last year all graduated from high school, and every single one of them are going to college. Let's go. Keep going. I'm going to skip past this. It just talks about how much money we secured. This is part of the study that's coming out that's going to show that our kids are taking more honor courses. So, for example, in MMSD, this is what you're going to see in the newspaper, our kids' reading levels, but I'll save that because I'm running out of time. Let's keep going. The next one. Top 10 characteristics of effective nonprofit leadership. I wanted to share this story because of the growth we've seen at Boys and Girls Club and the impact that we've seen at Boys and Girls Club. In my opinion, these are the 10 things that have made us a very, very strong organization. Go through all 10. And these are the 10. I'm going to run through them real quick. One, having alignment with your board, and executive alignment. 2, having people in your organization that are passionate for the mission of your organization. 3, empowering a team of volunteers to help you execute with purpose. 4, keeping up with trends and being able to effectively communicate. 5, attracting a diverse workforce and being very inclusive. 6, showing confidence and humility. 7, always having a positive attitude and a short-term and long-term vision. 8, being persistent and financially astute. 9 and 10, being able to inspire others to achieve greatness and accountability, transparency. And in our space, we have to always fundraise to make sure that we have wins for our young people. So do I have time to run through these real quick, or am I out of time? 7 minutes. Oh, great. All right, let's keep going. All right. 1, the board report cards and accountability. This is so critical, and I think this applies anywhere, right? So I have a 100-member board and committees. different people, different personalities, and I try to make sure as we navigate through our work that there's alignment between myself, the executive committee, and our board. But we also hold our board members accountable by having board report cards. So just like they do an annual evaluation on me, we also do an annual evaluation on each one of our board members to make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing to help assure the success of our young people. 2, having regular board meetings with your board leadership. We have our board meetings we start at 7:30 in the morning, end at 9, but I also meet with my board president every week. I've had some board presidents that would want to meet. Daryl Bazell, who was the vice chancellor of the university, used to want to meet at 5:30 every Monday morning. And it was the only time he had, but it was critical that we talked on a regular basis. Having working committees. If you're doing all of this work at your board level, the real work happens with committees. Most of our work at Boys and Girls Club happens at the committee level, and that's where our army is at. So it's 70-something volunteers of working professionals that understand what we need to do to get things done for kids. Having performance standards. I want to be able to walk in my board's office and know what's our charge for the year? So at the end of the year, I want to feel empowered that every day when I'm in the community doing things on behalf of kids, being upfront of what we need to accomplish at the end, at the beginning, and what's going to be done at the end. So having those performance reviews. Having an annual strategic plan and refresh retreats. A lot of times in the nonprofit world, we create strategic plans, but we don't refresh them and we don't live them out every single day. And that's something that I would strongly encourage. If you're a board member, if you work at a nonprofit, this is probably one of the most important pieces you got to focus on. The next one, being passionate for your organization. I remember my pastor once said, if you are passionate about the work that you do, you would never, ever, ever work a day in your life. So I would tell you, and I tell this to young people all the time, don't go into a field that you're not passionate about, because you're probably going to spend more time than you will with your family. And so go into something that you enjoy getting up every day to do. The next one, I'm going to run through these real quick. Empowering your team to execute with purpose. Good leaders never take credit for the work of the team. Acknowledge them. Support the people on your team. Have monthly goals tied to your annual strategic plan. And then empower people to make decisions. In our organization, I know we can't be great if I'm the only one making decisions. The third one is communication. Understanding internal and external messaging. I am somebody that I'm on social media all the time, interfacing with the public, letting people know what we do, but also having internal communication plans to make sure that you're communicating with your stakeholders about the work that you do. But you also got to understand trends and data around what's happening in the marketplace, so you're educated on how to solve issues within your community. And then we use social media, we use the local press to do opinion editorials to help get our message out and let people know that we want to be a part of the opportunity equation for young people to help solve problems. Attracting and recruiting a diverse workforce. This is something that I just believe is very, very important. If Madison is going to continue to be the 4th safest city in the United States, one of the best places to live, we have to hire people that makes up the fabric of this community. Diversity and inclusion is important. And I would tell you, if you walk in Boys and Girls Club, you'll see young, old, black, white, Latina, you'll see Christian, you'll see everything there. And because that diverse thought make you stronger as an organization. So I hear people say, well, it's hard to find people of color. I would tell you, if you have a diverse interviewing panel, if you make it a focus in your organization and plan it, you'll be able to hire good people. Somebody found me in Philadelphia, a lady named Mary Burke, who was our board president. A search firm happened to just call my office one day, and that's what brought me here 10 years ago, 2 minutes ago. The next one, show confidence and humility. One of the things I learned from Chief Noble Ray when he was the police chief here was to seek understanding instead of being understood. There are so many challenges that we face in our industry. If you're, as Diane said, if you're the smartest person in the room, come to the table and just seek understanding of what somebody is like. Seek understanding from their lens instead of pushing what you want to be shown from your lens. Being vulnerable and being an empathetic listener. The next one, positivity and long-term vision. I would tell you, we're going through that process right now with our board. I think about you, John. John and his family are great people. I remember when they were building out this new apartment complex. I remember when you showed it to me, it was all dirt. I now live in that complex, and it's a beautiful 400-something unit facility, but he had vision, he had plans, he coordinated that work, and now it's a beautiful thing to see. And it's the same thing we do at Boys and Girls Club. We put together SMART goals, and it's just like how we all got here. When you put in your navigation system, what's your destination? It's some roadmap that takes you how to get there. And it's the same thing in business or in a nonprofit. What's your roadmap to help you get to your ultimate destination? And then the final one is being persistent and financially astute, developing strong financial controls. All the managers in your organization should understand your profit and loss statements and understand every line item in those statements so they understand the financials. I always tell my team, even though we're a nonprofit, if there's no margin, there's no mission. Because if we can't fund the work that we do and if we can't sustain it, we're letting kids down. And don't be distracted by doubts. I would tell you, as somebody who raised funds, there are a lot of people in this community who have said, no, can't support you, don't have time, and I don't let that bother me. So I've been here now 10 years. I've raised over $30 million for kids in this community, but I've also gotten turned down by a lot of donors. But you can't let that, just like if you're in sales, you can't let that discourage you. You got to keep pushing and pushing so you ultimately get what you need. All great things take times. I would tell you, listening to the health piece, Luke used to be my trainer. And my wife recently lost 30 pounds. And I remember I used to go on these like 50-mile bike rides. I'm like, why am I not losing weight? And I recently just started counting all my calories. I use this app called Fat Secret. And I'm even doing it for 2 weeks, and I've already lost 15 pounds. So at a guy of my size, I'm eating about 4,100 calories a day. So this app tells me how much sodium I'm putting in my body, how much sugar. So I've stayed at 2,500 calories. So now that I'm counting, I'm more conscious around what I'm eating and what I'm doing. I feel like I got so much more energy that I'm ready for the second round of our strategic plan. And then finally, inspiring others to achieve special projects during times of crises. I've heard people say, Mike, why are you all going to Flint, Michigan and taking 50,000 gallons of water? Why is Boys and Girls Clubs going to Houston, Texas to help kids and families, and they're not from Dane County? So I asked our board to take Dane County out of our mission statement, and it's to serve all kids that might need our help. And if our community allow us to go somewhere, we go, and we be of service to others. And as a result, Boys and Girls Club has been blessed in that process. And it has taken us trying to inspire other people to be of service to others. And then finally, if you can go to the last one, accountability, transparency, and fundraising. Taking a personal accountability for outcomes. When we don't hit our goals, I don't blame anybody in our organization. I take personal responsibility as the president and CEO of all of our outcomes, and I don't blame anybody, but that don't mean I don't hold our people accountable. 2, data. Data drives everything that you should be doing in your organization. And then 3, show results, whether it's good or it's bad. Show the results and be transparent around it. And if you're down, you talk about how you address it. And if you're up, celebrate your wins. And then finally, understanding technology and innovation. around that, we have to constantly be thinking about how we can get better in terms of our technology. Y'all, that's my presentation. Thanks for coming out tonight.